Hi guys, today's video is a review on the new Bosch GHO 12V 20 cordless brushless planer. So here we have the planer. You can either buy this as the body only, or you can buy it as a set with the case, the charger, and I've got here two 3-amp batteries. So in the case, the planer fits quite simply, just sits nicely at the front here with your charger and your batteries, and there's room for other accessories such as the dust port. But what we'll do is we'll take the planer out, all your instructions and bits, put that to one side and take a look at the planer. Bosch have designed this to be as lightweight and compact as possible. So we're looking at about 1.5 kilograms. We've got usual features. We've got a dust extraction port, of course, but with this one here from Bosch, we've got a removable plastic, basically a direction for the chippings. You can take that out and slide that into either side of the plane. So if you're planing on the side, you can direct the chippings away and they're not going to be spraying up at you, or if you're using left or right handed, it can work to your preference. Rotating the depth adjustment knob round, there's an automatic stop at 1mm, so that makes it quick and convenient, so you know when you're at 1mm, and if you want to go further, there's a safety button to push down, and then that enables you to go up to 2mm. So the planer has a brushless motor, and we've got a battery indicator here. So if I was to start the planer up, you can see that the indication of the lights tells you where your battery's at. On the base of the plane, we've got you've got your cutting block here, and then there's only one blade on this one, and it's double-sided tungsten carbide blade, 2 hex keys to remove the blade. You can switch the blade around and use both sides, and the blade, when you're changing, automatically locates in position, and then you just tighten it into place. This planer is capable of running rebates. As you can see here, we've got basically a guard over the side of the cutting block, and that will automatically retract as you're planing your rebates. Now you can rebate up to 17mm with this one, so that's quite substantial for a small 12V tool, and the maximum planing width is 56mm. The speed is 14,500 RPM. On the rear of the plane there is a small storage drawer here, which essentially has a spare blade in, so this comes as standard. So when you buy the plane, you've essentially got 4 new cutting edges, so you can reverse the blade that's in there, and then swap and reverse the second blade as well before you'd have to replace them. For me, I find this planer has its place working on site when I'm fitting cabinets, and if I've got outward facing stiles on my cabinets and I need to scribe them in, most of my stiles I'll use poplar or tulip wood, but even if you're working with oak, this plane has no trouble with handling planing up to 2mm depth, and is so useful. It's really a great time saver if you're working on site, and again, being cordless just makes it so versatile. Now for a comparison of this plane for the size, what I've got here, let's see, we've got a Axminster Rider number 4.5 plane, and that's pretty much about the same sort of size there. And again, if we look at this one here, we've got an Axminster Rider 9.5 block plane. So that's the size comparison for you. And I think the weight plane is lighter than the Axminster Rider 4.5 here, definitely. And then it's a bit more bigger than a block plane. That doesn't go on the shelf. Right, so we've run over most of the basic features of the plane and how the plane functions and works. I can give you a quick run to show you how the noise sounds. Now that's not too bad at all. You can probably still hear me talking. And pretty much stops instantly when you take your finger off the trigger, which is great for safety. Right, let's get some pieces of timber and give this a bit of work. To start off, we've got some 20mm pine here. There's a few knots in this, and I'm going to start off with planing at a depth of 1mm. Let's see how it goes. Now let's increase the depth of cut to 2mm, which is the maximum depth of cut. As you can see there, the plane can handle that absolutely fine. So let's put something in a bit more substantial. So now I'm looking at 40mm wide piece of pine. I'm going to start planing this at about probably 0.3 of a millimeter, and we'll see how it goes. And now I'm up at about probably 0.8 of a millimeter. And so you can see here that I probably wouldn't go much more than a millimeter on a wide piece of timber like this. Just got a little bit of a edge there. I'll just take that down. Right. So with this timber here, I probably wouldn't go more than a 1mm cutting depth on a piece of pine that's 40mm wide, as anything more than that and the plane will start to struggle. So now I've got a piece of 20mm oak in here. There's probably about 23mm. And I'm going to start off at about 0.5 millimeter cutting depth and see how the planer takes to it. And then we'll take that up to 1 millimeter. And so you can see the planer copes absolutely fine with the oak on this width, with a cutting depth of 1 millimeter. And we'll take that up to about 1.5 millimeters and see how that goes. You can just about start to hear the planer struggling a little bit more. And this is where your 3 amp batteries or 4 amp batteries come in, because they're going to give you the best potential for the machine, having the more power in there. Now I'm going to do a cut at 2 millimeters, which is the maximum depth of cut for the planer on a piece of oak here. Now the planer copes okay with that. You just have to slow the speed right down that you're taking on the pass. But essentially you really wouldn't want to be doing that sort of depth of cut on anything wider than about 20 millimeters if you're working in oak or other hard timbers like that. Right, so that's some planing done. I hope you enjoyed that. And I hope that gives you a good idea of how this plane works and the functions and the features and the sort of the limits that you can push it to. I find it absolutely brilliant when I'm working on site, planing in styles of cabinets, doing scribing, and yeah, being cordless, brushless motor, There's not really anything on the market at the moment to compete with this. So I think Bosch have done absolutely brilliant. I hope you enjoyed the video and hope to see you next time.